Well, amazingly, it was our biggest month in the market.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just pulled up the stats and both of our mouths opened. I was like, wow.
Buyers are still buying. The market's hot.
It's really important that you're getting for your buck, because you can't go to an apartment community and say, hey, I want to lock in my rent. What's happening in real estate development around Wilson County right now? Hey, guys, welcome to another episode of Market Pulse with David and Dana. What's up, Dana? How are you?
I'm good, David. How are you today?
Good. I'm repping my Friendship Christian hat. We took district for middle school girls and middle school boys. Won their district this weekend. High schools play tonight and tomorrow night for district championships. So I was like, how cool would that be if Friendship Christian goes for the sweep? All four schools winning out. It's the TIAA. Is that the right district? But anyways, really cool to watch. Our boys won it was such a good game too. We lost to PCA earlier this season, about the only team that could hang with us. And tight game, all get tied 2-2. Really clean baseball. Goes into extra innings. Goes into the 8th inning, and we won on an overthrow to second on a kid stealing. Outfield throws it to third. Overthrows third, bounces in the dugout, so automatic base home for the win.
And that's awesome.
On such a tight game, but
yes.
It was proud to see those boys. They've been, and the coaches crushed it this year, so shout out to them. How are your kids doing in sports? Y'all still playing?
Yeah. We had county tournament last week and this weekend. Fell a little short, came in second. Kind of lost some esteem there for good old Mount Juliet Middle School. So we love you, go Bears.
Yeah,
we enter districts. We start districts tomorrow night. So yeah.
That's
Colton
exciting.
Colton had his first travel tournament. Paisley had soccer all weekend. I think we had 7 games total, and trying to do business all in between.
That's right. And it seems like a busy market. I know we had travel ball started up yesterday for practice. We got our first tournament in 3 weeks. So never a dull moment. I know if you're out there and you have kids around our age, you get to enjoy it. And I was talking to a dad at the field. He said he used to coach. And I'd say the thing that's most important to me about coaching personally is that, we teach these young boys how to be men, how to treat each other respectfully, how to have sportsmanship. The game is fun.
Right.
But let's be honest. I mean, 1 out of every 500 maybe is going to go the distance, right? Some of them will get some good scholarships.
Right.
Love that. But ultimately, it's about who they are as people. And so you get a mixed bag when it comes to coaches, but I love the coaches that are poured into our boys. Always grateful for them. As you said, out working the ball fields and working the real estate market. Looks like a big week this week. What did the stats tell us? How did this week do as far as the 5-county area?
Yeah. Well, amazingly, it was our biggest month in the market since April 1st of 2024. So almost 2 years. Yeah,
it's crazy. You and I just pulled up the stats before we hopped on here, and kind of both of our mouths opened up. Like, wow, it's with everything going on in the world. And we do tend to see a little bit of a pause after Easter. Everybody's trying to settle back in after spring break and holidays. And so you get a little bit of a pop. Then we usually hit kind of this lull where May tends to be not a bad month, but just kind of a base month in between the March and the April and the June and July, which are relatively strong most of the time. So that just tells us, guys, if you're thinking about moving, that the world is really kind of unshaken with everything going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have talked about before, the market tends to settle in kind of a 4-year reset, and we're in the middle of year 4 right now, which tells us that we may historically find a way to climb out of this, because I think people just get, I don't want to say impatient, but life goes on, right? I mean, what are you seeing from your clients, buyers and sellers out there? Is that what they're experiencing? Or are they just kind of going like, market is what it is. Life's expensive. Rates are up. So what now? Where are we moving?
Yeah. Buyers are still buying. I mean, I had multiple buyers out this weekend shopping, and the market's hot. I mean, several of them pended before you could even get in the door. So it is speed to lead. So make sure, you are reaching out to your designated local real estate expert if you need to get in some houses, because, that's the great thing about being on a team. Even if I'm at the ballpark, we have wonderful showing partners that can get you out there. But I saw a pop on showings on our listings over the weekend too. I know we pinned several. So it's not stopping.
Yeah, not stopping. We actually were looking also at the number of active listings on the market, pretty flat week over week. So you kind of have this increased demand Average number of active listings on the market still hovering around the same number. So that means that tilts it back a little bit. We're kind of moving into somewhat of a buyer's market. I still think we're probably in that neutral area between buyers and sellers, not really favoring one or the other. Probably very price specific. So if you're a buyer out there, I think it's really important that your agent or that you're trusting a local Huffaker Group agent, because our agents are just very skilled in segmenting price points, understanding where you've got an advantage and where you don't.
Right.
And then to that, Dana, right? I mean, if you're seeing buyers coming in and out of the market, I mean, what's the value of getting pre-approved right now?
I mean, it's going to hold up the deal. So making sure, you have that pre-approval letter, and I always suggest talking to, a couple lenders, right, to see what the best deal is out there for you. Also, that's going to give you the confidence when you're out there shopping. And then, of course, if things are pending faster in certain, market segments or price segments, rather, you want to go ahead and make sure you have that letter so you don't miss an opportunity to find their dream home.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think it doesn't matter how many times we tell the consumer, because it's not something that we can actually, force people to go do. But it's one of the things that I think people miss on the most, right? We see people say like, "Oh no, I'm good. I understand." It just takes a minute, guys. And so what we want you to do is talk to your lender. In fact, we've got some great preferred lenders at the Huffaker Group that have phenomenal programs. And the nice thing about working with someone that's kind of a preferred lender is we do a lot of business with our people, and so that gives us some. I don't want to say, we at least get their attention when we need something, right? And so if someone can get pre-approved or go ahead and have that approval letter going into an offer, where unfortunately sometimes the real world teaches us, we go out, they find a home that they love, we go through that approval process, the application, submitting docs. I think it's also important people understand the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval, right? And so as an agent, and if you've got a listing and you see a pre-qual, you're probably like me, where you're kind of like, yeah, I mean, a lot of times those aren't worth the paper they're written on, right? I mean, a pre-qual people just means that, hey, I've told them what I make and I've told them what my job is, but they haven't verified anything. So
no. And I will not,
I
tell my sellers at the table at the listing appointment that I will not, disclose an offer until I see that pre-approval letter. I want to make sure that the buyer can afford it. There's no sense in throwing paperwork back and forth, in my opinion, if I don't have that pre-approval letter.
Yeah, guys.
Even though it's not required at the time of offer, I want to make sure, and also picking up the phone and calling that lender just to make the connection, make sure that the client is good to go, so that we are protecting our sellers at the highest level.
Yeah, so pre-approval meaning like the bank has actually verified pay stubs, verified jobs, they've actually looked at some information. So difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. Really important that you're getting pre-approved, because as we're consulting our sellers, as we're having conversations in the actual real time, and if we get a couple of different offers and one doesn't have an approval letter, it just has a lot more risk to it. We can listen to the other agent and them tell us all day, no, they're good for it, they're good for it. Dana and I've been doing this a long time. How many times, Dana, have we heard someone say they're good for it and then come find out later they're not good for it, right? Otherwise, why didn't you go get the pre-approval ahead of time? So guys, get approved, talk to your preferred lenders. You're getting out there, especially in certain price points. We're starting to see a lot of activity moving. Dana, if we continue to see this trend during the summer, what are we expecting to happen to listing inventory? Is there more hitting the market? Do you think if we have an increased demand that it's going to start to gobble up some of the active inventory?
Yeah, I mean, if other agents are like us, I mean, we are taking listing agreements right and left and picking up new clients. So, we see it go pretty strong all the way through summer. So, June and July are still hot months to sell, and that gets everybody, if they're looking to make a move over summer, that gets everybody settled before school starts back in August here in the area.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. I mean, guys, all real estate is so local. So I was talking to some friends in Phoenix where they're a lot more cash offer driven, looking at deals here locally or the market here locally. There's just so much that happens, especially if we're looking here in Middle Tennessee and a lot of the teams and partnerships that we have around the state. Tennessee, just a strong state to be in real estate right now. Right. So you're seeing the national trend actually been revised downward again, trending closer to under 4 million sides, which is really less than what we've seen the last few years. And yet, Dana, we're seeing spring selling like we haven't seen in several years, right? I mean, again, for our companies in particular, I was looking March, we were up over 100% year over year.
Yeah, that's great.
Crazy doubling of business.
That's crazy.
Again,
and what did you say earlier? It was last week was the 7th best week since
Yeah,
2022?
seventh best week since summer of 22.
Right.
Right. You think summer 22, we were still back in the crazy. I mean, that was really the
There
tail
was
end
multiple
of
offer
the last
insanity.
wave. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
you think about that many transactions, seventh best week in, it's at almost 4 years. Again, just shocking. I don't know
Yeah.
that we would have guessed that we would have seen
Yeah.
that.
That's
So
a good
excited.
indicator that it will, that this summer could be hot, hot, hot.
Yeah, and I think that prices are relatively flat. Sellers are pretty agreeable, right? Or at least reasonable. And again, I
Right.
always say, like, we've talked about the extremes of the market when buyers, I mean, we think back to 2021, 22. I mean, it was really hard to be a buyer. I mean, we had
It
buyers
was.
in tears missing out, 10, 15, 20 houses that they just couldn't get because they couldn't offer 50 or 100 grand over
Right.
list price. And so you go, like, that's really not the ideal market. Same thing for sellers, right? And sellers markets where they're getting to, or buyers markets where sellers are getting the short end of the stick and just don't feel like they can move. We want a balanced market. That's really what's best for all parties, right? Yeah, we talk
Right.
about that as agents. We get so excited about the pendulum swings and the maximums at each end. But the really healthy part is right in the middle, where
Right.
buyers can buy and sellers can sell. And that's kind of what it feels like right now to me.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
really feels like both parties can get what they want. The argument comes back to, David, it's really expensive right now. And I go, like, I don't ever remember buying a home and I didn't think it was expensive. Right? I
Yeah.
mean, think about every time you've ever bought a home where you ever like, oh, I'm getting a great deal. Maybe rates were
You
like
want to feel like you're getting a great deal.
yeah, but it always feels expensive, and it should for about 18 to 24 months. Right? I mean, that's the whole idea, is that you are locking in that rate for the next 30 years. You're locking. You can't go to an apartment community and say, hey, I want to lock in my rent for the next 30 years.
Right.
Right? And so to the house, you'd be like, that's awesome. You're probably going to stay there 7 to 10 years. You're getting to lock in the payment. Right? And so again, it's going to feel expensive at first, and it should. I mean, I think that's kind of par for the course. Think about, my mom bought her first house for, like, I don't know, $40,000, and she thought it was outrageous. You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I grew up here in Mount Juliet. And so my parents moved here in 1986. And so their realtor at the time said it was the next cool springs. And so that was 1986. They moved away in 1999 and sold their home, I think, for 200 and something $1,000, over 2,000 square feet, right behind Mount Juliet Middle School. So, North Mount Juliet with a pool. Can you imagine?
No.
That was
No.
1999. Also, there was still no Providence when they moved.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never guarantee development happens as it should or as it should be planned.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I first got into real estate showing a couple some homes, and they said that they had originally looked around Providence before Providence they even broke ground. And someone told them that will never happen, right? And it was about that time where, like, Providence was full speed ahead. And you and I both remember, right? It used to just be the Cracker Barrel and the Waffle House and a flashing yellow light.
Dairy Queen, that's no longer there. Now a cute little coffee house, which I highly recommend. Super yummy. And yeah, I think there was only one McDonald's then, but I do remember when we got the first stoplight and everything was just on a 2-lane road and not even a turning lane.
You do know all the good places to go in Mount Juliet. I remember when Jennifer and I first tried to move to Mount Juliet. It was 2009. It was we just couldn't afford it. That's how we ended up in Lebanon. It was like $70,000 to buy in Mount Juliet. We were like, nope, we got to move on out to Lebanon where we could find something a little more affordable for our little babies to run around in. So, where's the hottest place to go eat right now in Mount Juliet? What's the new hot spot that you like, or an old hot spot that you like?
I mean, I'm still loving, just with the weather, Hillside Hangout over in North Mount Juliet, at the corner, I guess, at the intersection of Nonneville and Lebanon Road. So especially for young parents too, they've got a new play area. So always yummy cocktails and great food. So actually pop by there on Friday.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, there's still some places on the square in Lebanon. I haven't been on the rooftop of Town Square
I also
Social
went there
yet.
Friday.
You were?
Yeah, I was at Town Square. Yeah, because we were playing baseball in London. Town Square. The roof is great. Just get your
I hadn't been up there.
ready to go upstairs.
Yeah, I know. I'm by there all the time. I haven't been to Olivia's yet. Have you tried that out? The oyster and cocktail bar.
You have to go. I've been there a few times. Yes.
Love it. What's happening in real estate development around Wilson County right now? Any new projects going on? What's the public happy about, not happy about?
I haven't seen anybody dissatisfied with anything as of lately. We've got the big project over off North Mount Juliet Road. That'll be, both commercial and residential, just behind, Calabria Pizza over there. They've already redone the road. And then lots of townhome communities coming up.
Too.
Yeah, it's massive.
Do you know what all's going in there? Have you heard?
I have not heard. I need to do some research on that, actually.
I don't know how many houses that is. We'll have to look that up and let everybody know next time. I'm curious to see how many houses. I mean, great land, great area to develop.
If I can remember correctly, and I'll correct myself next time, but I thought it was 600 units. So I could be wrong on that, though. Let me make a note.
Yeah.
We'll get more.
Yeah, we still have all that full development off of South Hartman. I was driving down to Watertown this weekend, some developments out that way. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I see right now, it's all over the news, and especially being here local in Lebanon, Tennessee, is the sewer capacity and the arguments over that. And so, continuing to watch how that develops. That's really close to where I live, and so I'm definitely interested in how that plays out, where they might find the land to put in that pumping station, or what resources that they need. Lots of signs around in everybody's yard around no new sewer plants and things like that. Curious to see how that plays out. Adding an awful lot of houses in this area for us not to fix the capacity on the sewer system. So I know the city's got a tough job ahead trying to solve that one.
It's a tough job. I wonder how long it takes to even build one of those facilities.
I don't know. They said they started working on projections 4 years ago, which I think was somewhat of what's got everybody a little bit frustrated is, when this new 600 unit development off of Maple Hill was approved, they said that this, it would not have a negative impact on they had capacity. You have to turn around and say, we've been working on it for 4 years because we know we don't have capacity. There's a little bit of talk about it both sides of their mouths, but I think that's frustrated the public a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
One thing to get something passed.
Yeah, I can definitely understand the frustration on that.
All right, so what are you up to this week? Anything fun happening? I know we got kids back in school. We only got 3 weeks left, I think. 3 weeks or so left of school before we're here for summer.
Yeah.
Memorial Day's early this year. It's on the 25th, so it feels a little bit earlier in May. You guys got any big plans?
No, just baseball and soccer. That's where we will live through July until football kicks off.
I know.
So we're in the throes of it for sure, but I wouldn't have it any other way than to be there with my kiddos.
Yeah, I agree. My wife says I got to sell the boat if I don't start using it more. So I got, all these sports. It's hard to, so we're going to have some work days on the boat just so we can say we're using it.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Justify.
Yeah. I was talking to a client yesterday, and she's like, well, what do y'all do with your pool all summer if you're not home? I said, exactly. So we do have some weeknight enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, my dogs use my pool. That's what it's there for. It's for the dogs.
You should post that video.
All right, guys. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us, Dan. Thanks for the update on what's going on in the market. I'll talk to you soon. We'll catch up next week.
Sounds good, David. Thanks.
See you guys.